Morning, Dom. It's the 17th of September. It's a Monday, 20 minutes to 12, and here is our latest Cryptonuts podcast. I'm here with Dom, who's sitting in Queensland. I'm down somewhere in the colder region, and we've been talking over the last week about where are we sitting right now with the crypto market. It's sort of coming down to a relative bottom of some sort, and it sort of feels like we're at the eye of a storm, and a lot of people are not sure where the market's heading, and we don't have all the answers either. But we've been talking about potential movements, what could possibly happen up to Christmas, what's going to possibly happen with ETNs and ETFs and all sorts of other financial instruments. We also came across a couple of graphs that we share in our Crypto Nuts group, and it talks about potential cycle fours, the timelines on those, what may possibly happen over the next 8 to 10, 12 months in regards to the overall market. And, I think what we want to do is, obviously it's all just speculation because we're not in charge of the market. What I'm going to do is I've got a 20-minute clock here. I'm just going to press play, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, mate, and you're going to share some thoughts on these ETNs and some other stuff. So press play. Here we go. We've got 19 minutes and 55 seconds to go. So
good
Don,
morning, sir.
Hello.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Sebastian. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, ETFs. Everybody's got this in mind. On the 30th of this month, the VanEck Solidec ETF is going to be possibly postponed again, I would think. I don't think it's responsible for this SEC to actually allow this to happen because there's so many holes in the manipulation side of the market. We wait and see. But one interesting thing that Citibank launched is this digital asset receipt, which in actual effect runs just like a ETF, where institutions can buy this receipt without actually investing in the asset. The downside of that, obviously, is that they can use that to pass on that receipt as equity to another institution, which is called hypothecation or rehypothecation if you send it to a few institutions. And those, because they can merge the digital asset or ADR with other assets, it becomes, they call it commingling, where they actually blend them all together and you cannot see the actual nature of that asset. And they can use that as collateral, which is really what the fractional banking system is doing. Whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, I think there's been a very good coverage on Ready Set Crypto, which discusses that in detail, which I think is very good. But in essence, it means that Wall Street can now start investing in digital assets without actually owning them, which is what an ETF is. So what's going to happen? That's the big question. My belief, Sebs, is that they're not going to allow this on the 30th. I think there will be some other news which will sort of balance the sentiment a little bit. They may think, okay, well, that hasn't gone through, but this has gone through, to possibly avoid a major crash in the market. But I don't think the timing is right for the ETF right now. But all these rumors and things that we sort of hang our hats on will come to fruition at some stage for sure. And I think when that happens, and that could happen, they could intimate that that's going to happen, which would cause a bit of a surge from now until Christmas. That could get up to $13,000, $14,000, $15,000, even $16,000 for Bitcoin, with the hype of that. And after that, I think there will be a reality check that things aren't going to happen and it's going to come down again. So that's my take on it. I don't know what I think you've alluded to a similar sort of reasoning.
Well, I think the big thing is there's going to be financial instruments approved at some stage. Now, whether it's an ETN or an ETF, I don't think we need them, but the reality is that the financial or the existing traditional financial system must have legislative tools to come into crypto space. So even though we don't need them, we sort of want them to allow that money to come in. and for that confidence of, hedge funds and Wall Street, etc., to enter. Now, are we going to see the ETF on the 30th? Maybe not. Maybe we'll see an announcement, maybe a delay. Maybe there will be a preliminary announcement where it's approved based on certain other parameters that will come into the space, which may actually see a bit of a suckers rally leading into December. Nothing like 2017. That was the top end of cycle 3, and we'll talk about that as well. We're coming into cycle 4, which might take a couple of years to actually manifest. However, we may see an upturn in the market for a couple of months. It could be 30 days, could be 45, could be leading just up to Christmas. The last 5 years we've seen a particular dump of the market in January, early January, which is due to tax or fiscal tax years. That's what I've been reading anyway. Will we see the 6th January dump? It's highly plausible in regards to if you want to go by statistics. So if we do see an ETF or an ETN approval of some sort, or a preliminary, or a little bit of confidence in the market, like I said, we may see this suckers rally. But what will happen, I think, after Christmas or January, we're going to see the market go quiet again, and I think we might see Bitcoin come down. You mentioned Bitcoin hitting 13, 14, 15. I'm not sure about that. I think you might see a couple of thousand on Bitcoin. But again, the powers to be, the big boys that have got a lot more money than us, we've seen 20 billion come into the space in 30 minutes. So it could quite easily jump up 100 billion in a very, very short period of time. We saw that in January, December last year. So it's very highly likely that could happen again. But again, we're speculating. I've got this little chart which our viewers can see, which is it's not a prediction, it's just a scenario that someone else has put up, and I appreciate their input here. However, it's just one of many forecasts, and they're sort of predicting, a 9,800 or 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of December, but I don't think it will hold. They're also stating a 21,000 Bitcoin by December 2019. So that's the end of next year. I think in the middle of the year of 2019, we're going to see a bit more of a lull. I think the market will go quiet. What do you think about that? Do you think the ETF will be approved and then there'll be a delay as they launch the actual financial instrument itself?
Well, I look at it this way. I think the general sentiment in the market is one of depression. Yeah. We're all depressed with the bear market. We're getting to the end. I think we're getting close to the end of the bottoming out of the market. We need some sort of a catalyst. So everybody's sort of geared up, but everybody's hanging their hats too much on the ETF. It smacks of desperation almost. That we need an instrument like that in order to boost the market. It shows that maybe a lot of us don't have the confidence that crypto can get mass adoption at this stage, which is also a possibility, because I don't think that a mass adoption is going to happen anytime soon. But there are rumors and there's movement. I think there could be some sort of hype towards the end of the year. I think we just got to be careful that we don't get caught up in the manipulation of this whole thing. I think last year, 2017, a lot of people bought in at that peak of $19,900, and those guys got their fingers burned badly. So that has driven the sentiment down considerably. I think it's frightened a lot of people off in the market, but it's continually being hyped up. So we just got to be careful that we don't get carried away with FOMO when things start happening. I think we've got to take a more cautious approach. We hear a lot of the guys saying, don't buy now in case you're catching a falling knife and so forth. I think all that is relevant. You need to do your own work on this, and you certainly don't need to invest more money that you're not prepared to lose. I think that's good advice, and it's consistent with everyone. I think we could have a bit of a rally before December. I feel that could happen because I think people are expecting it almost. But I think it may be a suckers rally. I think that January will drop. Yeah. I think that we're another 12 months to 18 months away from the beginning of the next bull run. That's my gut feeling. But again, it's just an opinion like everybody else's. I don't agree with people saying it's going to hit 1 million by next year and all this. I think that is just irresponsive hype, because there's no foundation to that.
Yeah. There's no actual real reason for the market to go into a bullish trend because last year was all about ICOs and hype, and there was a lot of positive energy, and there was no doubt that there was also a surplus $300, $400, $500 billion play card by probably some richer people than us, and we've got to remember that. I think the market is being propped up based on energy and based on these cycles. Now, this chart that we came across in our crypto group, it's talking about cycle 3. So the December 2017 was technically the end of cycle 3, and we've been in the middle of an 8-9 month bear trend since those highs. And based on this next cycle 4, we're talking about 2,073 days. And again, this is speculation, but it's based on fundamentals of working out cycles. Cycle 4 was always going to be longer than, or take longer than cycle 3 to manifest. And we've got this, descending RSI line, and we're so far below it. That's because the last 8 months in the bear trend has been quite aggressive retracement. And I do believe the suckers rally will bring this RSI back up to an average. And then, like you've mentioned, I think in January, we will see a retrace again. And based on this cycle 4 on this chart, and I don't want to go and make out that this chart is actual gospel, but it's a highly plausible path. And for an example, they're talking about Bitcoin being a possible 3,000 US by October 2019. And you and I have talked about whether or not we think Bitcoin would ever get that low. And I think, we've seen 6,000, 6,200 show a lot of resistance there, a lot of support. And whether or not we think it's going to come down below 5,000, it might come down 1 or 2. If it comes down to 3,000, I think that would be a complete manipulation. I think there's a lot of positive energy behind Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of retention. A lot of people are cold storing Bitcoin. The only way it will come down is someone with a major position who decides to manipulate the market with the confidence that they can get back in without losing their position. And I think the big boys can do that pretty easily with the budgets that they've got. So will we see in October true bottom for cycle 4, and then a pretty steady climb from October next year up into what we're looking at on this chart as a 21, 22, 2023, 3 to 4 year cycle until we hit the next ultimate high in 2023. What do you think of that chart? And you have had a look at it in your own time?
Yeah, I think that chart is reasonable. I think let's just go back to the fundamentals. The fundamental is that we have a limited amount of Bitcoin. We have a market which is currently at 200 billion. We're talking about institutions and pension schemes and all the rest coming in, and they will definitely buy Bitcoin because it is the most stable of all the currencies, which means that it has to go up in price. It has to go up in price. The peak of the last of 2017 cycle 3, we got up to just on 800 billion. Okay, so it's another 600 billion from where we are today. That's a lot of money, but it came in and went out very quickly. So it is easily possible that we can see 1.5, even 2 trillion come over the next few years. So I think that figure of 100, is it 160 there? Is a reasonable
160,000 USD for a Bitcoin by August 2023. So 5 years' time.
I think that's possible. With relation to $3,000, look, a lot of people have said there's a lot of resistance at 5,800. I mean, it's bounced off the 6,000. The next one down is 5.8. There's a lot of stop loss orders set at that figure. If it goes below that, it's going to trigger all those stop loss orders from the traders. When that happens, maybe 1,000 Bitcoins could be sold instantaneously, and that will definitely bring it down. But it's not going to stay down. Even if it does hit 3,500, 4,000, 4,500, whatever that figure is, it's going to be down there for literally seconds, because you've got buy orders that are going to soak it all up. And I would love to buy some at 3, 4, but will we get a chance to buy it in that flash crash? It's very doubtful,
Yeah.
So
there has been three numbers going around. You mentioned the 5.8. There's been 5,700, which I've seen on a couple of exchanges. Then there's talk of around about 4.5 to 4.8 as the next step down, and then it's into the horrible 3,000. I haven't seen 3,000, but I've seen 3,500 on this chart. It mentions 3,000. I think that's pretty extreme, and like I said, I can't see it being there for too long. Probably an hour, half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the whole crypto market would just be liquidating everything they got to pick up a few extra Bitcoins. So it would be an amazing day of chaos if that ever occurred. I couldn't see that happening over a month or so. But when you look at this particular chart, they're talking about Bitcoin being in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 for 1, 2, 3. We're talking about a year. So from April 2019 through to October 2020. Now, can we see Bitcoin sitting at $3,000? Oh, I think anyone in the crypto market would be just doing whatever they can to pick up Bitcoins at that price.
Absolutely.
So instinctively, this chart looks amazing. You go, wow, it looks highly feasible. But I think there's more energy in the space than this is giving credit to. And I think, the 6.2, the 5.7, maybe 5,000 or high 4,000s is probably plausible for a period of time, a week, 2 weeks at some stage. Whether that's next week or October next year, I think we've got to wait for that. But I do believe, instinctively, as much as I don't want it to happen, I feel that it's highly possible that we're going to see that, because, like you said, the fundamentals here and the reality is these ETFs, and even though we don't want to rely on the SEC as the backbone of cryptocurrencies, we want to remain independent. But how else do we get mass adoption? Where are these people going to come from? Where's the energy going to come from? There has to be a reason for the common folk like you and me to just put more money into the system, and that's just not going to happen yet, unfortunately. So the energy is going to just drop away over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 months again. But this gives us more time to I suppose, accumulate, if that's what you're planning on doing as an investor, or if you're just watching the space in interests. I think it's going to be a very interesting period of time. You got anything to add, Dom? We've got 3 minutes on the clock here.
I would say that we are all conditioned. When people were buying Bitcoin at $200 and it shot up to $1,300 and it crashed again to $200, everybody was desperate. But everybody thought, well, Bitcoin's worth $200. That's what it's worth. Now we're talking about Bitcoin being worth 5,000, 5,700. Most people would start buying that again. So we've come a long way from the $200 or $1,800 that we were a few years ago. And not too long ago, we were at those figures.
I think it was 1,800 it was last year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was just in a short time frame. So I think that there is confidence in the price. It's just that we need some more positive direction in the marketplace for people to start investing again. And the ETFs could be a catalyst. And I think also adoption, we mustn't forget the whole purpose of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies was for mass adoption, to be decentralized and start functioning as an alternative to fiat. That's the main goal of cryptocurrency, and not really as an investment vehicle. So I think the investment side will come through. It will come through, I think. I think everything's primed, ready for that. When it will be, I'm not sure. And I think that once we start getting 1.5 to 2 trillion in this market space, we will start seeing adoption, mass adoption, and the use of cryptocurrency in favor of fiat. So that's going to be an exciting time. And I think that 2023 is a realistic target. And I think people should bear that in mind.
Yeah, and I think it's a realistic timeline. I think the other side of mass adoption is, using cryptocurrencies for these applications and dApps and decentralized apps. There was a bit of talk about, there's quite a lot of apps coming out now. Some are actually operational, some are still in production. Once they start rolling out and actually have real use, we may see a greater adoption rate. The other one is the wallets. It's still fairly complex for people to get involved into crypto. We talked about Ethos has got a wallet, and there's a whole heap of others. Pillar has got wallets, so BAB is going to be bringing out a wallet, and obviously having a blockchain or a blockchain bank. These type of things do encourage people from outside the crypto space to come in. But however, we still need more functionality in these areas. We've got to make it more seamless and easier for people to enter. So the wallets, the dApps, and probably the media. We still don't see too much on mainstream media in regards to why people should come into crypto. It's still seen as a speculative industry, I suppose. It's not doesn't have that. That's the big word that I think people are looking at is where is crypto utilised best for real use applications on a daily basis. So there's our little buzzer. And does it stop? Yes, look at that. So our clock works. Do you have any final words, Dom? I think all I want to say is everything that we've said today is not gospel. We're just pulling some information that we've got from our Cryptonuts group, some graphs. These are opinions from people who, obviously have some depth of understanding of the market. I think there's some common sense here as well. But any final words?
I would say that people shouldn't be swayed too negatively by the bear market. It's a cycle that's going to happen, and it's going to happen again even after the next bull run. So I think try to take a step back and just watch the market. Don't do anything rash. Don't sell assets at this point thinking it's going to crash further. And I think because the fundamentals haven't changed, nothing has changed. So we just got to be cautious. And really the point of these videos is to discuss this openly from guys that sort of have a serious hobby on as well as an investment in this space. And I think we should just take into account that it's a bear market and you don't sell unnecessarily in a bear market.
Yeah.
And look forward to the run.
Just got to keep researching and keep being patient. This cycle 4, like I've mentioned, could take 3-4 years to manifest. Everyone wants it to be this Christmas and next Christmas and the Christmas after that. But, I think we're going to have to wait until 2022, 21, 22, 23. And I think the bull run we saw in December, which even though I think you could probably say it was half a year of 2017 when you really look at it. Obviously, it was very aggressive in December. How that's going to translate into this 4th cycle, I think will be over not half a year like we saw in 2017. I think it's going to be over a couple of years. So, 2021, 22, it's going to really start to heat up. And I think there's going to be quite a few step ups towards this August 2023 as on this graph. But again, it's all speculation, but it's definitely going to take longer for it to manifest this time around. All right, well, I'm going to leave it there, Dom, and I think that was a good little chat, and we're going to keep doing these and just keep having an open discussion about what we see and what we think and what we feel, and hopefully it adds value to those who will watch it, and hopefully you'll join me for the next one.
Will do, Sebs.
All right. Thanks, mate. See you soon.
Thank you.